What is up, Guff Gang? We're back. Joey Marino here from Grown Up Fantasy Football. Today, I am talking about what I'm predicting are the finish of the top 10 of these rookie wide receivers. Big predictions, bold predictions. Stay tuned to find out. All right, so if you're new here or if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. We'd love to see more subscriptions. And give us a follow on Twitter at GrownUpFF for more of that juicy, grown-up fantasy football content. So before we get into today's video, a little bit of housekeeping that we got to take care of. But if you want to skip ahead to the regular content, timestamps down below, just go ahead and skip to there. So first thing I want to talk about is, okay, if you haven't noticed, yes, we were a little bit inactive for the past couple of months. We took the month of March off just to give us a little bit of a break. March turned into April, and April turned into early May. So we're back, but a couple of things we need to talk about. So Zach, who, if you haven't seen probably our most popular video, Tom Brady is not the GOAT video. Zach is the one who came up with that idea and did that video. He has decided to take a little bit of time off from the show. He was joking that, James demanded too much for his salary, so he had to make some cuts somewhere. Unfortunately, Zach had to hit the free agency market, but he got picked up by his wife and kid. So Zach is going to try to make his return sporadically. You may see him here on YouTube. You may hear him on any of our podcast episodes. But for the time being, it's going to be a lot of James and I. So get used to that. But speaking of the podcast, so what we've done last season was basically, a lot of duplicating the same content from YouTube to the podcast. And that's not how we want to treat our listeners. We want you to get different content in different places, okay? So first off, if you haven't checked out our podcast, we do have a podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just called Grown Up Fantasy Football. And what we're going to do now is James and I are going to get on either once a week or maybe every 2 weeks and talk about fantasy football, obviously, but we'll also talk about the NFL as a whole and what's going on, stuff like that. It won't just be fantasy football, so you can get a little bit more and get to know us a little bit better, I guess. Yeah, why not? But go check us out, Grown Up Fantasy Football, wherever you get your podcast. That's going to do it for all of our housekeeping, so let's get into today's video. All right, so I am talking about the top 10 rookie wide receivers, how I think they're going to finish from 1 to 10 this upcoming season. All right. Great class of wide receivers that came through the draft. So we're going to talk about them. All right. And these first 3 guys, they could all finish as the number 1. I think they all have opportunity and talent to do that, but I have them ranked the way I have them ranked, and I'll explain why. So at number 1, or maybe 1A, I have Jaylen Waddle from Miami. He is one of the fastest players coming out of the draft, especially wide receivers. And he goes to an offense that I think maybe made some of the most improvements out of these first 3 guys to their offense. Miami shored up the offensive line. They brought in Will Fuller. They didn't sign a running back, if you count Malcolm Brown, I think, from the Rams. And they drafted one in like the 6th round. But they made some strides. They wanted to build around Tua, and that's what they've done. Now, Waddle's success depends upon Tua. He reunites with his former college quarterback. It just depends upon Tua's growth. And I think Tua takes a step forward this year. He's got help. He's got an offensive line that's been picked up a little bit. He's got more receivers to help him out now and help out Devontae Parker over there. So I think Tua makes not a huge leap, but I think he takes a step forward, and I think that pays off for Jaylen Waddle. Think about Jaylen Waddle. He can be used all around. He can play outside and go deep. He can run short, intermediate routes. He can take jet sweeps up the middle. So I think there's going to be a lot of utilization and a lot of opportunity for Miami to get creative with Jaylen Waddle. So I think he has a very good opportunity to finish as the number 1 rookie wide receiver. Number 2, I've got Ja'Marr Chase. Of course, this guy is incredibly talented, former Blittenkoff winner, former national champion. He also reunites with his college quarterback, with Joe Burrow, in Cincinnati. Ja'Marr Chase has the ability to become the number 1 in this offense, but I think it's a little bit of a tougher road. And that is because you still have T. Higgins there, and you've got Tyler Boyd. Both these guys had really good target share, and Ja'Marr Chase is the new guy on the block. We'll see how much target share he demands out of this offense. It could be a lot. I think it probably will be. I think he will become the number 1 in this offense just from his talent alone. But he does have to share some targets. So I think Ja'Marr Chase definitely could be the number 1 wide receiver. I have him at number 2, but I could definitely see a case for being number 1 wide receiver for rookies. Number 3, I've got Devonta Smith out of Philly. Heisman winner, national champion. We saw LSU have one of the most prolific offenses in college football history in 2019. All credit to him. But Alabama had another incredible offense this past season too, which was, the numbers were like right there with LSU if you look at them. So 2 incredible offenses producing so much offensive talent. And Devonta Smith was one of the biggest benefactors of that of those offenses. So he goes to Philly, where he has probably the best shot out of all these rookie wide receivers to become the number 1 wide receiver. The cupboard is bare in Philly, okay? Yes, Jalen Reagor is there, former first-round pick as well, but Devonta Smith is a little bit better than Jalen Reagor, okay? He, the 3rd wide receiver to reunite with his college quarterback. Devonta Smith goes with Jalen Hurts when they were both at Alabama. He is the most polished route runner out of all these guys. He knows how to get separation. He has great speed. He has incredible hands. I could go on and on about Devonta Smith and how good he is. The knock on him that everybody says is he's a little bit small. Yes, he is. But I expect him to kind of bulk up a little bit, and not too much to take away from his speed, but I do think he'll get a little bit bigger in this offseason, and he's got a very good path to take on the number 1 role. It all depends upon Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts can grow this season and take another step forward as well, then Devonta Smith will have a lot of success. All right, at number 4, I've got Rondale Moore out of Arizona. Okay, why is Rondale Moore so high where these other guys are a little bit so low? The thing is, I think Arizona's offense is going to explode this year. Kyler Murray is going to have a very, very good season, I'm predicting. And I think, you still have DeAndre Hopkins there. Chase Edmonds is probably going to take over in the backfield. I don't know if James Conner is really going to get it done for him, but he's talented too. So Rondale Moore steps into probably the best offense out of these past 3 teams. The reason he's not higher is because he doesn't have a clear path to be number 1. All right, DeAndre Hopkins is the number 1. He's the alpha in that wide receiver core. But Rondale Moore has a chance to take over the number 2 role. All right, Christian Kirk has had success here and there, but he hasn't been super consistent. And while Rondale Moore is not the most consistent either, he has a shot to take on the number 2 role in Arizona behind Hopkins. Hopkins is going to draw a lot of coverage. So that means Rondale Moore could find himself open. Now, think about it. This guy was a dynamo in college. He was all over the field. He'll probably get used all over the field in the NFL as well. Kingsbury has a great reputation for creativity in the offense. He's on the smaller side as well. He's only like 5'9-ish, 10-ish, not super tall, not super heavy, and he does have a little bit of injury concern. So that is something to watch. However, I don't think he'll be used so much on the field. I still think, you still have Larry Fitzgerald, who will take some snaps as well. Christian Kirk is still there, and he's still got Nuke. So Rondale Moore will see the field for sure. He has to. But I don't see him be the number 1. He has a lot of potential, though, and I think he will be in the top 5 of these wide receivers. And at number 5, rounding it out, I've got Elijah Moore from the Jets, okay? Now, we can all agree the Jets' offense for the past few years, or I don't know, forever, has been, as one of my friends puts it, Buns Nation. It is awful, okay? New head coach. Adam Gase is gone, Okay, bring in Bob Saleh. All right, they bring in LaFleur, the other LaFleur, not Peter LaFleur. I think Mike LaFleur or Matt or the other LaFleur, not the Green Bay Packers LaFleur. But new offense. You got a new quarterback in here. They chucked Sam Darnold out the window, and now they bring in Zach Wilson. Okay, Elijah Moore is developing some chemistry with Zach Wilson through training camp, right? So he has potential, possibly, to be the number one. Okay. Yes, the Jets brought in Corey Davis. Yes, Jamison Crowder is still there. These guys have been in the league obviously longer than Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore is a super talented wide receiver. He is also on the smaller side. I think we're seeing a little bit of the Tyreek Hill effect in the NFL with wide receivers. And Elijah Moore, he can kind of run all over the field. He can play outside. He can play inside. He gets good separation off of guys. He produced incredible numbers in a very high-powered offense at Ole Miss last year in college. So I think Elijah Moore will have success. Now, I do think it will be tempered because it is the Jets, and he could have some variability. I'm not sure how consistent he will be because we do have a rookie quarterback throwing in the ball. But I do think he will have success in this offense, and he will carve out some targets for himself. So that's where I have Elijah Moore at number 5. Number 6, I have Kadarius Toney from the Giants. So why is Kadarius Toney not higher on this list? He's incredibly talented. All right, don't get me wrong. I love his talent. I watched him play in college like all year last year. The guy is super talented. But he's entering an offense that already has a number one, or is assumed to be the number one in Kenny Golladay. You already have Darius Slayton, who has some chemistry with the quarterback, as well as Sterling Shepard. And Saquon's coming back from an ACL injury. Hopefully he'll be fine. But Saquon's back. He's a dynamic weapon. You still have Evan Ingram. So it's a little bit crowded in terms of pass catchers. And you also have Kelvin Benjamin. Better watch out, Evan Ingram. But Kadarius Toney could be purely a gadget guy in this offense. I don't think his skill set is strictly as a gadget player. I think he is a very talented wide receiver. But it's kind of crowded right there. The other thing is, it's Daniel Jones, all right? And we've seen in the past, if you have owned Sterling Shepard or Darius Slayton, Evan Ingram, your success, that player's success depends upon Daniel Jones these past 2 years. That's not something, to be happy about. So will Kadarius Toney have success? Yes, he will. But I'm a little worried. I think the talent is what keeps him definitely in this top 10. What could make him a top 5 guy because he could just bust one to the house. But I would temper my expectations on Kadarius Toney a little bit just because of those factors. All right, at number 7, I have Rashod Bateman from Baltimore. I love Rashod Bateman. This guy is such a talented receiver. He can line up anywhere on the field and find success. He is a great route runner. He's a physical receiver. He can get his hands on you and get off of you, and he can get separation, and he has great hands. He can catch the ball very, very well. So him going to Baltimore, though, there is some pluses and minuses there. Plus, he could become the number one in this offense. Right now, it's kind of empty. Mark Andrews is who I'm perceiving to be the number one target in this offense. And Mark Andrews is uber talented. Don't get me wrong. But you still have Hollywood Brown there, and Sammy Watkins is now there. You still have like Devin Duvernay, some guys in there. Bateman has the skill set to be the number one wide receiver in this offense. But the thing that you want to hope for in the Ravens offense with a receiver like Bateman is A.J. Brown type efficiency, okay? The Titans offense, they're a run-first offense with Derrick Henry, right? They have a lot of success on play action because, you can't let Derrick Henry get past you. He'll blow right by you or blow over you. So A.J. Brown takes advantage of that with Tannehill. I'm really hoping for this kind of efficiency that Bateman has on the Ravens offense because, yes, they're a run-first offense. All right, you have, the best rushing quarterback since Mike Vick back there, and you have J.K. Dobbins, super talented. They are going to run the ball a ton. So you're really hoping that play action plays out very well in Rashod Bateman's favor. I think he has the talent to do it, but it is yet to be seen what will happen with Baltimore. They brought wide receivers in before, and they haven't really found success in terms of fantasy. So hopefully Rashod Bateman can buck that trend, and the quantity of targets may not be there, but the quality should be getting better as Lamar progresses as a passer as well. Number 8, and this might be a shock to some people, but I'm putting Dyami, or however you pronounce his name, Mr. Dyami Brown from Washington. Okay, this guy is a blazer. All right, he is super, super fast, and Washington may have made the most upgrades to their offense this offseason. They're one of the teams that have made the most changes. All right, they bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzmagic is back. He is unencumbered by another rookie or whoever else to take the ball away from him, take snaps away. Fitzmagic time, all right? They still have Terry McLaurin. They bring in Curtis Samuel as well. They shore up some of the offensive line. You still got Antonio Gibson. You still have J.D. McKissick. This offense is going to be better than people expect, especially in terms of fantasy. So with Ryan Fitzpatrick, what does Fitzpatrick do a lot? Loves to throw the deep ball. He's a gunslinger. And who better to catch that deep ball than one of the fastest guys on the team, Dyami Brown, or Dyami. I still don't know how to say his name. But this guy is a blazer. I think he's going to take advantage of some of these deep throws that Fitzmagic is going to have. He can also work the middle. Now, Curtis Samuel is going to get a lot of usage because he's a very dynamic player. Totally understand that. Terry McLaurin's the number 1 in this offense. Totally understand that too. Antonio Gibson's going to get some stuff. Logan Thomas could make a jump as well. But I think Dyami Brown will have some success, and I'm predicting him to be in a top 10 out of these wide receivers because I think Washington's offense as a whole is going to take a step forward. At number 9, I have Tutu Atwell from the Rams. Okay, what is Tutu Atwell doing here? Okay, so the reason I have Tutu Atwell in my top 10 is because this guy is another part of the Tyreek Hill effect. You know, you want small, fast wide receivers, and Tutu Atwell is literally that. He is maybe the shortest wide receiver coming out of this class, but he's one of the fastest for sure. He's going to be in a very high-powered offense right here. The Rams, they dumped Jared Goff, and now they brought in Matt Stafford. With his big arm, you already have 2 guys who are historically running these intermediate or find success on these intermediate and short-term routes like Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. Okay. Yes, the Rams brought in Deshaun Jackson, but they also drafted Tutu Atwell. They lost Josh Reynolds, but they still have Van Jefferson, and they take in Tutu Atwell. So it's kind of crowded in the wide receiver room, but Sean McVay receivers do have success in his system as long as the quarterback can produce. And Matt Stafford's going to produce in this offense. I mean, it's inevitable. It's Thanos, okay? It's going to happen. So I'd like to take a shot on Tutu Atwell. I think he'll be a very good DFS play. Possibly he'll be one of those flyers that you could probably take pretty cheap in DFS. And I really like Tutu Atwell to probably have some success in here. I think he could sneak in to the top 10, and he may just surprise some folks and finish at 9. And rounding out the top 10, I have Terrace Marshall Jr. from Carolina. Okay, don't get me wrong. Terrace Marshall is a very talented wide receiver with a nose for the end zone. Okay, he was known for making red zone touchdowns. Okay, guy has great instincts, great talent. The thing that worries me, though, is the Panthers are kind of run through CMC. All right, the offense goes through Christian McCaffrey. Okay. Teddy Bridgewater's gone. You bring in Sam Darnold, who, didn't have a lot of success in New York. You could be on the side of he didn't have any weapons, he didn't have any help, or he just wasn't really that good. I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't know, what I think of Sam Darnold just yet. But the thing is, you don't really know what's going to happen in the offense, okay? And they were pretty middling, last year with Teddy Bridgewater back there. So is Sam Darnold really an upgrade from Teddy Bridgewater? TBD. But he's also fighting against Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore in this offense. He could step into that 3 role right there. But Christian McCaffrey could be the 3 wide receiver in this offense. Let's not forget, he did rush and receive 1,000 yards. like his second season in the league, which is absolutely insane. So I think Terrace Marshall will be a top 10 guy, but he'll be on that back end. So we'll see what happens in Carolina, but I do like Terrace Marshall a lot. All right, so those are my top 10 wide receivers. Let's talk about a couple of sleepers that I have that could make a name for themselves through training camp or throughout the season. First up, I got Anthony Schwartz out of Cleveland. This guy's an absolute burner. I'm pretty sure he turned down some sort of sprinting competition, maybe the Olympics, maybe not. But this guy can fly. And yes, Cleveland still has Odell and still have Jarvis Landry. You could say Rashard Higgins is probably the wide receiver 3 in this offense. Schwartz is going to come in, though, on some plays, and he's probably going to be the deep threat here. I think he'll carve out that role for himself, and he could see the field a little more often than people might think. I think he's got great potential to be a wide receiver 3, maybe even a 2. I don't see him being a 1 just because, we classify him as a one-trick pony right now, but we haven't really seen him in the NFL. So, he might be even better than we think, but I think Schwartz will be a pretty good value play, at least for DFS. Can be a sleeper for you for Cleveland. Next up, I got Dwayne Eskridge from Seattle. Now, yes, Eskridge was drafted pretty high, but I think the reason that Seattle drafted him so high is, one, they only had 3 picks this season, this draft, so they really needed to make use of that. Second, they lost David Moore in free agency, so they were filling a need. Okay, Eskridge comes in out of a little bit of a smaller school. I think he was at North Texas or so, but he's on the smaller side. Okay, another one of the Tyreek Hill effect kind of guys. He has really good hands. Okay, and he's very, very fast. He's not going to be the DK Metcalf type. He's going to take some pressure off of Tyler Lockett, I think. Yes, I think cornerbacks are probably going to cover DK Metcalf a little bit more now at the season that he had last year. But Eskridge is going to step up in this role, and he'll have a role in this offense, I think. Now, it's to be determined if Pete Carroll will run the ball the whole time like he wants to, or if they will let Russ cook yet again for half the season. So it could be half the season Eskridge is great, and the other half, you just throw him off your bench. But I think Eskridge has some value right here, especially since they needed to fill a need and they drafted him with their first pick this year. He definitely will play a role on this team. So that's my predictions for the top 10 rookie wide receiver finishes for the 2021 season. So if you enjoyed the video, hey, give us a thumbs up down below and hit subscribe wherever you are. If you're catching this on the tube, go subscribe and leave a comment below on where you think any of these receivers will finish. And leave a comment below if you like this kind of content. What other kind of content do you want to see during the off season? The draft is over. Training camps are starting. We're going to get into OTAs soon. So leave us a comment below on what you think we should be talking about. But be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Be sure to grow up and get guffed.